What is going on, everybody, and welcome back once again. My name is Jordan, also known as JMonster. I want to thank you guys for joining me for another replay battle. Now, I know many of you have wanted to see the dwarves fighting each other, and indeed, many people have asked to see the Obsidian Guard of Erebor in combat, and this is going to be your opportunity. Today, I have a 1v1 in this beautiful hilly region that is going to pit both of the dwarven factions against one another in a massive infantry brawl. So without any further ado, let's get into the army comps, and then to the replay itself. I hope you guys enjoy it. Now, the first army we're going to look at today is the forces of the Dwarves of Erebor, commanded by this guy with a thoroughly inappropriate name. He's got, I believe, 3 units of Ironfoot Halberds, 1 or 2 units of the Ironfoot Crossbows, 1 unit of Catapults, and actually I think he's only got 2 units of the Ironfoot Crossbowmen, all of which are going to be stationed up here in that little sniping nest up on the hill. Down in the valley, got another couple units of those Ironfoot Halberds, a ton of Ironfoot Spears all along his main line, I believe, to the tune of about 4 to 5 units of Ironfoot Spears. And then finally, he's got some of his killing power in the back, 1 unit of Ironfoot Axe Throwers, a ton of the Ironfoot Warriors here forming his third line, and a couple units of Erebor Legionaries arranged on his wing. Now he's also got a couple units of Elites, 1 unit here of the Obsidian Guard, who are very, very cool, very deadly. They dual wield, I believe, an axe and a sword, so they get a bonus from each of them, so they have a lot of damage behind them. And of course, they are 2 HP and heavily armored as well. Over here we have the Highborn of Erebor, and this is previously the Dwarven Nobleman Bodyguard. They've got a little bit of a different model. I think they've got a new shield and things like that. And of course, they've got high damage and a lot of armor and 2 HP as well. So without any further ado, let's go and see what the Khazad-dum dwarves have brought to the battle today. Over here we have the forces of Khazad-dum being commanded by Vodka Bear, and I believe he's got 3 or 4 units of the Khazad Sentries. Yeah, about 4 units of the Khazad Sentries, 3 units of the Orc Hunters of Khazad-dum, 2 units of Sons of the Fallen, I believe 3 units of the 4th Legion Shield Guard, 3 units of the 2nd Legion Axe Guard, and finally he's got his Elite Corps, which are very deadly indeed, 1 unit of Mithril Guard, who are AP. There's a very, very obvious distinction between a lot of the bodyguards in the Khazad-dum faction. So, and we've got all 3 of them here, so I can actually talk about all of them. The Mithril Guard have AP and 2 HP. Legion Bodyguard have no AP and they're just kind of a regular middle-of-the-road thing with 2 HP. Did I say they have no HP? No, they have 2 HP. They have no AP or anything particularly interesting in that regard. And over here we have the Guards of Khazad-dum, who are a little bit smaller than these 2 units. They are about 10 men smaller, but they have an extra HP. So these guys are very useful when fighting large amounts of enemies. They can cut their way through just about anything. They're very much an endurance unit. The Legion Bodyguard in the middle of the road, and the Mithril Guard are excellent for when you're fighting heavily armored units, like, say, another Dwarven faction. I think that's it for the Dwarves of Khazad-dum, so without any further ado, let's get into the replay. Now, the Dwarves of Khazad-dum are going to slowly march forward, all the while being peppered by that well-placed artillery position up on the hill from the Dwarves of Erebor. And those Khazad-dum sentries are they Khazad sentries? Yeah, sentries of Khazad-dum shuffling their way over there towards the Erebor lines. Meanwhile, they are definitely the target of most of the attention of that unit of Catapult up on the hill. One of the stray shots getting themselves into the 2nd Legion Axe Guard. And I killed a few of them. Not too many of them are dying, though. Vodka Bear has wisely set his forces to be mostly in loose formation, except for the pike units that are very dependent on their pike wall formation, which is a good idea. If they got charged while they were in loose formation, the pikes would really, really suffer quite heavily. Let's see here, sentries of Khazad-dum slowly but surely moving in to engage the Ironfoot Halberds, who are being peppered down now by the Orc Hunters ranged up there in the hill. But it seems like he's just kind of going in a big blob, which is confusing. You definitely want to try and spread out your pike line so you can get the most amount of pikes attacking at any one point. But it seems like he's going to try and do that maybe at the last minute. I don't know. This is very, very blobby and definitely not advised, because he's going to find himself very easily surrounded and, yeah, losing just a lot of killing power, essentially, because there's so many units there that can't attack when they're blobbed up like this. A big fight here between the Khazad sentries and the Ironfoot Halberds, trying to determine who has the pointier stick of them all. And the Halberds looking like they're winning for the time being, but as those pikes begin to push farther and farther forward, I think the Halberds are going to find themselves in a lot of trouble. Ironfoot Axe Throwers trying to even out the fight here with the sentries of Khazad-dum. But there's just so many of them. Khazad-dum can bring a lot of Khazad units. That ultimately I don't think they're going to have enough ammunition to really kill off all of them. Let's see what we got going on over here. It looks like Vodka Bear is going to be marching all of his elites straight uphill to try and deal with that catapult. I probably wouldn't have bothered, personally, because they're going to be so tired by the time they get up there. And then you're going to be facing down an AP unit with a very, very strong hill advantage. I probably would have just used my Orc Hunters of Khazad-dum to try and pepper it down, or kill some of the Ironfoot crossbowmen or things like that, and just keep these units busy for a very, very long time, at least long enough until I could win the infantry fight. But Vodka Bear is just going to go for it. Very boldly charging up that hill with all of his elites. They're going to be taking crossbow fire and things like that on the approach. Khazad-dum elite infantry can weather that for a little while, but not forever. But yeah, I think this is going to end up being a big waste for a lot of his best units, best and most expensive units. Meanwhile, down in the valley, the infantry fight looks like it's going in favor. It's honestly hard to say. Khazad-dum sentries just poking people to death every which way, and now they are backed up by the 2nd Legion Axe Guard. I don't know, it seems like it's going in favor of Khazad-dum for the time being, but it's really hard to tell. There's a lot of Dwarves of Erebor here. So these Ironfoot Spears being ganged up on by arrows and the Khazad-dum Spear Infantry. If they keep that up, they might be able to break them. The Dwarves of Erebor, it is very feasible to break their morale. Khazad-dum, less so. It is possible with Khazad-dum, of course. With any other faction, it's possible. But they have much higher morale scores than the Ironfoot units. So if they can start to win on this flank and begin to just roll up the line, I think a lot of the Ironfoot units will start to panic and flee. Yeah, you can already see it over here. And I think some of these units cause fear. I think the 2nd Legion cause fear, which is definitely going to help out. Over in the center, the Khazad sentries seem like they're holding back the Ironfoot infantry, but they are kind of being peppered down by the Ironfoot Axe Throwers. This is going to be... I don't know. It's hard to tell who's going to win, but I'm going to put my money on Erebor. Obsidian Guard now being committed to the fray. Over on the Erebor right wing, Ironfoot Warriors and the Halberds really struggling to fight the 2nd Legion Axe Guard. Let's pop back up to the hill and see how things are going. Surprisingly enough, the Khazad units, although they are already exhausted, this is why I would not have taken the hill fight like this. It's just crazy. Despite the fact that they are exhausted, they are managing to beat their way through the Ironfoot Halberds. Are now being reinforced with some of the Ironfoot crossbowmen. What do we got here? Orc Hunters of Khazad-dum have managed to weather the arrow storm from the Ironfoot crossbows, firing into the rear of the Erebor Highborns. Mithril Guard not having a great time right now, but they are AP and they are quite strong. And with a little bit of ranged fire support there from the Orc Hunters of Khazad-dum, who seem to be killing more of their own infantry than the Highborns of Erebor. But still, with that extra range support, maybe they'll be able to cut their way through. Who knows? Wow, those Highborn of Erebor are actually dropping pretty quickly. Let's take a look at how things are going down on the main line. Seems like Khazad-dum is winning in certain... Ooh! Well, that was very nasty. Beautiful enfilading fire from that from the top of the hill from that catapult. Don't know how they managed to arc a shot down there like that, but damn. But as I was saying, yeah, it seems like Khazad-dum is winning in certain places, whereas the Erebor Dwarves tend to be winning in others. And I think they're winning in the center and on their left. Although they do have some reinforcements coming in now in the form of the Khazad-dum Orc Hunters, who are no slouches in melee, by the way. They've got decent melee defense. It's okay for axe-armed infantry. And they've got about 9 damage as well, so they make acceptable infantry once all is said and done. What they're doing. At this point, the Ironfoot Axe Throwers, I think they're going for the Axe Throwers, but they've used so much of their ammunition that they're not really as much of a fight, as much of a threat. I think really the support is needed over here on the wing, and Vodka Bear definitely missed an opportunity. Sons of the Fallen seem to be just patrolling back and forth, not really doing anything. I think Vodka Bear might be a little bit unsure about where he wants to commit those guys. The infantry fight seems to be swinging in favor of Erebor for the time being. Except over here with the 2nd Legion Axe Guard are. They're really putting the hurt onto the Obsidian Guard. Let's pop back up the hill. See how these Erebor units are doing. It says victory is certain for both sides. Well, they can't both win. I'm going to put my money on Erebor with all of these numbers. And Catapult's still firing down the hill. Looks like the Mithril Guard have actually managed to slowly but surely get the best of the Highborn of Erebor. And there you have it. That's basically it for that General's Bodyguard. Now the Khazad-dum War Hunter's attention being turned onto this massive blob here of Ironfoot units. With those, there's enough of them there, and with those fire arrows, they might be able to cause a rout. Yeah, look at that. We could see some routing happen here, which would be a saving grace for the Erebor forces who seem to be, not the Erebor forces, the Khazad-dum forces who seem to be being swiftly overwhelmed. That'd be interesting. We'll check back there in a little bit. Down in the valley, things still kind of in the balance. Some of the Erebor Ironfoot warriors being routed in the center. Some of the wherever the Khazad Axgar seem to be, they seem to be doing very well for themselves. But over here on the Khazad-dum right wing, their forces have just been completely annihilated. The Khazad-dum sentries are surrounded and being hacked to bits by the Ironfoot. The Orc Hunters of Khazad-dum really don't have what it takes to swing this fight in favor of the Dwarves of Khazad-dum. Over here, the Khazad Orc Hunters have run into a bit of an iron wall here in the form of the Ironfoot Axe Throwers. And try as they might, bash their head as much as they want against the shields and armor of these Ironfoot Axe Throwers, I think they are going to get the best of them. Ironfoot Axe Throwers with 8 damage and really nice armor and a shield value, as compared to the 9 damage of the Orc Hunters of Khazad-dum, who have no shields. Let's fast forward things just a little bit here. Sons of the Fallen, they will hold out for a very long time, but I think they're in danger of being surrounded soon. Yeah, you can see that the Erebor forces are beginning to crescent moon the Dwarves of Erebor. Now they're coming in from the rear, completely enveloping them. That's going to be it. Up here, though, Dwarves of Erebor looking like they might be victorious. The Obsidian Guard are very much worse for wear. Ironfoot warriors as well. Though they are managing to wrap around with the Obsidian Guard, so they could surround these Khazad units and the 2nd Legion and completely and utterly annihilate the Dwarves of Khazad-dum in an infantry fight. It looks like that's what's going to happen. Ironfoot Spears coming in from the rear might be enough to rout those 2nd Legion, and indeed it is. And now the Dwarves of Erebor have a very serious advantage, but it looks like, despite all appearances and against all odds, the Dwarves of Khazad-dum have hacked their way up this hill, through the halberds, through the crossbows, completely devastating the forces that Erebor stationed up here. Now they're going to take position up on this hill and try and deal with all that remains of the Erebor dwarves. And they've got a fair amount of elites still left. And now the rest of those dwarves are going to have to, if they're not exhausted already, they will be by the time they get to the top of this hill. I think it would be better if Khazad-dum were to move a little bit closer to this ridge and try and use that very steep hill to their advantage. But it doesn't look like they're going to be able to. The Dwarves of Erebor have now crested that hill and are charging headlong towards the remaining Dwarves of Khazad-dum. Mithril Guard, Guards of Khazad-dum, and the remaining 1st Legion Bodyguard charging into battle against the Ironfoot. It's looking like it's going in favor of Khazad-dum. Let's go ahead and slow down just a little bit, get down and dirty with it. Yeah, what do you know? The Dwarves of Khazad-dum might pull out a win here if they rout those Dwarven forces, or those Erebor forces. Wow, we actually have some breaking here. The Ironfoot Warriors, the first to flee. No surprise there. Obsidian Guard somehow managing to hold it together with the Ironfoot Spears. They're going to find themselves attacked on all 3 sides and swiftly defeated. Obsidian Guard really not able to stand up to the elites of Khazad-dum. They are a very strong unit, but Khazad-dum have the best infantry elites around. And the Ironfoot Spear is now going to break and run, and that's going to leave the General's Bodyguard to try and hold down the line. Dayton Ironfoot is going to get hacked down. The opportunistic strike to the face by one of those Khazad Orc Hunters. Obsidian Guard doing their best, but they're swiftly being surrounded and destroyed by the remaining Khazad-dum elites. Let's pop back down into the valley. And there's still a fair amount of Ironfoot here, and a lot of Erebor legionaries as well, who are dealing with the remaining Sons of the Fallen. Only a matter of time before that happens. Yeah, Sons of the Fallen swiftly being overwhelmed, and that's going to be the end of them. Now Erebor is going to be free to send in a second wave against the guards of Khazad-dum. Or the dwarves of Khazad-dum, rather. There's still a lot of them left. 19 guards of Khazad-dum, 11 Legion Bodyguard, 7 Mithril Guard, and 24 Orc Hunters. Well, let's see what happens. We're going to fast forward a little bit here, and I will see you guys in just a few moments. Alright, well, strangely enough, the dwarves of Khazad-dum are actually going to descend the hill here, give up their position, and go right for the dwarves of Erebor, with the Orc Hunters of Khazad-dum leading the way. Ooh. I'm pretty sure, yeah, the dwarves of Khazad-dum definitely going to win that fight. Although in the center, where the elites are being committed, I don't know. This seems like a mistake. He didn't really need to commit all of the elites in the center, and now the Erebor legionaries are going to be able to come in from the flank and begin to surround the elites of the guards of Khazad-dum. But still, let's see what happens here. Looks like Erebor is managing to get the better of the Khazad-dum infantry this time around. But we'll see. Still a lot of guards of Khazad-dum left to go. That Dwarven shield wall is holding together. Erebor legionaries looking like they might rout. A rout here with those Erebor legionaries would cause the rest of the dwarves of Erebor to run from the field. So, yeah, one rout here, one misstep, and that's going to be enough to send the remaining dwarves of Erebor fleeing. Without their general, there's really not much that can prevent that. So far, they seem to be holding it together. And they're actually driving Khazad-dum back up the hill, which is surprising. And I think a lot of that has to do with getting flanked and surrounded. It really was a big mistake of Vodka Bear letting himself get surrounded like that. Always, always a good idea to spread out your lines. Do not blob up. Let's see what we got here. Wow, they're pushing them all the way back up the hill. Really spreading out the already very thin on the ground Khazad-dum forces. And that might be exactly what Erebor needs to pull out a win in this case. Let's see here. Those guards of Khazad-dum have now been driven apart, no longer able to support one another. Looks like Erebor is going to be able to take this. Oh, it's such a grindy fight. Those guards of Khazad-dum have so much armor, and everyone is so exhausted at this point. Oh, we got some wavering here. Those guards of Khazad-dum managed to rout these Ironfoot spears. That's going to cause a cascading rout that I'm sure will affect most of the Erebor units still remaining. Looks like the Erebor forces have cleaned up most of the Khazad-dum warriors. Now it's just 4 individuals from a guards of Khazad-dum unit left to try and hold the line. Still, a rout here could win this for Khazad-dum. I would be amazed if that happened. Khazad-dum again being driven apart. Unable to support one another. We're coming down to the final 1,000 frames. And there goes Balin, getting hacked down by one of the Erebor legionaries. One of the dwarves from the mountain that he helped retake. Yeah, now they're down to 2. That's going to be it for the guards of Khazad-dum. Going to attack from the rear, basically stun locked, unable to do anything. One guard of Khazad-dum left managed to get a nice shot there in one of the Ironfoot spears and bring it down. And that is it. A very narrow victory. It says 82%, but honestly that's just casualties healed at the end of the battle. You can see that they've got maybe 50 or so dwarves left over. Very, very entertaining match between these two dwarven factions. And we got to have it in like this big hilly area too, which is just so perfect. But yeah, I think I've got yet more replays coming out. So I hope you guys are well supplied with your drinks and snacks and have a comfy chair because, yeah, definitely more videos coming out today. But in any case, yeah, I'll see you guys later. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.